You're watching The Bat.
You make me wear my bike helmet.
You taught me never to run with scissors.
And to follow the swimming rules.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
Welcome to this month's Salute to Service. And with me today I have Mr. Curt Schwehm, Medina County resident and Navy veteran. How you doing, Curt?
Ed,
how you doing,
thanks
man?
for having me.
Hey, so start out where you grew up at. Where are you from originally?
Originally born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
All right. How'd you get over here?
It was a long trip. From Philadelphia, after I joined the Navy, my parents had moved to Indiana after I joined the Navy. Went back there, met a very nice young lady. We got married, went to retire, and started looking for jobs. Found a job in this particular area.
So employment brought you.
Yeah, employment brought me back to this area.
When did you join? Did you join Navy right out of high school?
No,
or?
I went to college for a year. That really wasn't for me. I was studying to be in accounting and finance.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of disillusioned with the whole education thing. It's like, here's the syllabus, meet it. Here's the test. Oh, I didn't teach it.
Right.
So I joined the Navy.
How old were you when you joined?
19.
19. So you're still fairly young. Yeah.
At that point in time, I was young. Joined the Navy when I was 19. Thought, you're going to conquer the world. So I joined the military, joined the Navy. Was going to go in the nuclear power program. And then, of course, you're going to be on submarines.
Right.
So.
Did you go to Great Lakes for basic?
No, I went to Orlando.
Oh, okay.
So we went to the Orlando, which is, I think, gone now. It was hot down there in September, but we made it through.
I've heard of the Hollywood Marines that go to basic out in California, so you must have been like a Hollywood sailor going down in Orlando and stuff like that.
Well, we
didn't
have to shovel snow.
No,
we shoveled a lot of sunshine, and we shoveled a lot of sweat. That's
so
for
what
sure.
did you wind up doing in the Navy?
I went to onboard submarines. So
Mm-hmm.
I volunteered for submarines, which is all volunteer at the time, and still is voluntary. Had to take a battery of tests for that. Once I got picked up they said, okay, you're good. Did some psychological profiling. Went and talked to the doctors, just to make sure that you weren't too crazy.
You got to be a little bit crazy to do the submarine thing.
Yeah, but you're looking for fit with people.
Right.
And from there, I transitioned. They sent me to basic sub school in Groton, Connecticut, where you went through 8 weeks of. Basically, they taught you the major systems of a submarine in a very generic sense,
right.
And then you went through and you had to go into the dive trainer where you actually escaped from 100 feet, like you were locking out of a submarine,
Mm-hmm.
and you went through that, and some more submarine-specific training
so
things, firefighting.
What was your actual job on the sub?
I got to the boat, and I was a non-nuclear mechanic, so I had literally my equipment ran from the front of the boat to the back of the boat. We had all the high-pressure air. Air systems there were 4,500 pounds, reduced down to 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
We had all the atmosphere control equipment, so we could breathe, we could make our own oxygen. That was part of my equipment. All the plumbing, all the sanitaries, the trimming, so you could, level the boat out, and the deballasting capabilities.
Right.
All the controlled surfaces, they were all mine. So we had a lot of work.
Wow.
We had a lot of work.
So you spent your whole career on, in subs. You never transferred over to like a regular ship or anything like that?
No, never. It was either submarines or direct submarine support. After my first boat, I went to go be an instructor.
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching oxygen generators, so how we made oxygen with a pretty complex piece of equipment.
So where was your first duty station? And where was the boat at?
San Diego.
San Diego,
San
California.
Diego.
Well,
San
at
Diego,
least
California.
At least you got stationed somewhere.
Yeah, it was warm. We didn't have to shovel a whole lot of snow out there. That's for sure.
So and forgive me, but I don't know a whole lot about subs other than they go into the water and the people are crazy on them. But attack subs, and they got like hunter subs and nuclear subs. So what kind of boat was yours?
When I got in the submarine force, I think we only had 3 diesel submarines left,
Okay.
and they're all gone now.
Yeah.
So they were all nuclear. The first boat I went to, USS Drum, SSN, submarine service nuclear, 677. She was the second, I believe the second boat of the name. The first boat was Drum was SS, I believe 284 or 287. Don't quote me on that. She was highly decorated in World War II. It's a lot of tonnage.
Right.
So
So what kind of sub was it though?
well, the SSN designation is the fast attack.
Okay.
So that boat.
So you're looking for other subs, right?
Basically, that's what we do is anti-submarine warfare.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. And then any special operations, you can get in close. The biggest thing with submarines, once it submerges, it disappears. You can't see it.
Right. Can't see it,
So
can't hear it.
you never know where you're going to go.
Yeah.
And then people say, well, where'd you surface? The next time we surfaced was in Hawaii, and we pulled into Pearl Harbor.
So I know I don't think they do it anymore, but years ago during the Cold War, which is obviously, what year did you go in?
I went in '79,
So,
so it was all, I was a Cold War vet.
Cold War, yeah. So you guys stayed under for quite a while. What was the longest without servicing?
It was over 90 days, maybe 92 or 94. I got it when I came in originally. Our first deployment that I made was 7 months, and we went to the Indian Ocean. That was right at the transition from President Carter to President Reagan. You had the Iranian hostage situation going on. There was a couple battle groups that were over in the Indian Ocean. So we were just basically going out. We were the net to make sure that no one interfered with what they were going to do if they had to go do something. And then right before Reagan took office, they returned the hostages, so it kind of was like a moot point. It was like a long trip on the water for whatever.
So if you guys are down, for whatever length of time, and I don't know how many people are on the sub, but so when you surface, does everybody get a chance to go out and get some breeze or get some air or, see the ocean? I mean, because it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of space on top of that thing for guys to go up there and. I would imagine if you surface, you want to try to get as many people out to see that there's still a world out there.
Well, no.
Otherwise it doesn't really matter to you if you're inside the boat, right?
You're going to pull into port, and you'll eventually get people.
Well,
up there.
the port. But
the problem with the fast attacks is they're round.
Right.
Okay. So there isn't a good platform to get up there, and you can always take away. I don't care if you can be in a flat sea state. You're going to get one rogue wave that's going to come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's what you really.
So
have
isn't
to
there
worry
like
about.
a cupola or something up there?
You've got the sail, right? You've got the round tube, you got the sail, and there's usually people will be up on the bridge when we're on the surface.
So people can come up on that top part up there.
Yeah, but you don't get a whole lot of guests. You might want to get 4 or 5 people up there max.
Yeah.
Because you're not maneuvering, you're farther away from land. Once you get into maneuvering, you get more people up there, you get more people with attention and paying attention to contacts and other boats and ships.
So really coming above the surface, if you're out to sea for 3 or 4 months, doesn't matter to the guy that's in the boat because he doesn't get to go out anyway.
Well, he's not going to get there for a while. The one thing you do notice is when we're breathing recirculated air, constantly. So we're cleaning the CO2, we're burning the carbon monoxide, we're making our own oxygen. You're cooking your fuel oils from either when you're running the diesel or your oils from your hydraulic system and stuff like that. So it's a very unique smell. And then when you get that fresh air, you're like, what's that?
So when you surface, the whole boat can recirculate fresh air.
Yeah, well actually we surface ventilate, we bring in air from outside and bring it in.
Okay.
So
So it is a little different to the guys. But
yeah, it's a little different.
Other than that, it's kind of like you're still in the can. Can's either below water or above water. It doesn't matter to you.
If you want to go look outside, you can usually go up to the control room, and all the periscopes were hooked up to.
Yeah.
Well, they had CRTs. Okay, these huge CRTs. Now they're flat screen. You can look out there and go, yeah, the water's blue. Okay.
Yeah. I always wondered about that because they will just stay underwater for like a month or two, and I'm thinking to myself, well, it doesn't really matter if I don't get to go outside, whether I'm above water. I'm still in the boat. You know what I'm saying?
Still in the boat. Yeah. They're round.
It's kind of like I guess you could be a an engine person on a aircraft carrier if you don't get to go topside.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they're still around. I mean, the first boat I was on was 292 feet. So if you get in a heavy sea state, you're just, it's, I guess the best analogy is, you remember Calvin and Hobbes? Mm-hmm. Okay, when Hobbes used to leave the cannonballs in the water, and you'd see the little floaty things in there going, that was us. I mean, they were not conducive to be on the surface. You really wanted to get under fast.
So what's so you're on a attack ship or attack boat? I think that's kind of relatively a small one.
Yeah, they're smaller ones.
So what's the larger ones? The nuclear?
Well, you've got SSBNs, which are the Tridents. They're
the ones that carry all the missiles and stuff.
Carver had 16 missiles. That was the one that was in Scotland.
So were you ever on one of those too?
Yeah, I was on 2 of those. Yeah.
So you could probably get more people outside on one of those because
you have more opportunities because you can. They're higher off the water. They're flat decked on the back, so you can put some stanchions up and some wire ropes so people can get up there. You don't like to go out because, like I said, again, a wave. Yeah. You know, and you've got the screw in the back pushing. I mean, that's just churning back there. So, but you have more opportunities to do things like that. I mean, we had an opportunity on I was on USS George Washington Carver. We just decommissioned her 25 years ago. I was on that crew. We went through the Panama Canal. So as we went through the canal, we were up topside and we were grilling. Yeah, because you're above water the whole time. Yeah, but we were grilling burgers and hot dogs and going through the locks and. Well, that would be cool. Yeah, that was fun. And then went back. That was a one-way trip. Went back to. We had to do a FSET, which is we were actually shooting missiles on board Alaska, so we had to go transition back to the Panama Canal.
I know, I've seen them parked out in San Diego. I was on the sub base once, and I got the opportunity to go down there. Actually, it was kind of weird, but I was out running, and I ran someplace I wasn't supposed to, and the security forces actually tackled me. And then I have my ID card and everything, and the guy's like, "Hey, First Sergeant, you want to tour the sub?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So got a tour, and cool. But the time I really was impressed was I saw one leaving the Chesapeake Bay, and it had a bunch of like escort ships because, I saw the escort boat. They're like tugboats, escorting it out to sea, and it was kind of I'm like, "What are all the boats?" And then you see the sub in the middle, and I'm kind of like, "Wow, the escorts." But if you were in like a your ski boat. Your yacht, you wouldn't see the darn thing. I mean, it doesn't sit very high above the water. So I'm like, so it's got escorts all the way out to the mouth of the ocean there, I guess.
A lot of times you have a pilot on board because with the rules of the road,
the rivers and stuff.
Well, the rules of the road. A ship that's not under command, which has a pilot, has priority, especially you put a tugboat on it. Right. We pulled into San Diego, whether there was nothing coming out or anything. We always had a tugboat because you had to make that corner into San Diego to get to the sub base, but that gave you a lot more as far as the rules of the road goes. You had a lot more latitude to, we said we were
turning. It's just this big black steel pipe, man,
that's
out there. That's it was kind of, but it was pretty cool to see. But it's not, even when it's on top of the water, it's not really on top of the water. Yeah,
it's got a low radar signature
low,
and everything.
Very low.
And then you can do things. You can if you're going to be out. Some of the ships, when they leave, they'll put the radar ball up so they can actually reflects back, say, "Hey, there is something here." Right. But no, for the most part, we just kind of like go out, get ready, open the vents, get under the water.
So you do a lot of sneaky stuff, the subs.
We can do sneaky stuff. Yeah, we can do sneaky stuff.
I know a lot of submariners, and they're always like, "Oh, I can't talk about that." And I'm like, "Oh."
Well, to talk about it, but then we would have to kill you. So
you'd have to kill me.
I wouldn't do that. Yeah. I wouldn't do that.
So what's the most interesting place you went? Shore duty or leave or wherever when you were out on the boat. Where did you just surface at, Italy or where? Or what was the most interesting duty station you were at?
Most interesting was probably we were in Connecticut, where the crew on George Washington Carver was there's 2 crews on the ballistic subs. One is home training and going through training and indoctrinating new crewmates. Yeah, well that's the base. Right. The ship was actually in Holy Loch, Scotland. Okay. And that's subsequently been dismantled and taken apart. That was a tender out in the middle of the loch, 2 barges and a dry dock. That was it. So we would fly the crew over, and then you go to Holy Loch, Scotland. So I had the opportunity in Scotland one time to to go up to St. Andrews. We took a tour up at St. Andrews.
Oh,
We took a
okay.
bus up there, so I can actually say that, you know, when you're seeing the British Opens or the Open Championship, pardon
You've
me.
been up there.
Yeah, I can say I've stood there at 17. I've seen that hump on that green, and it's
Right.
huge. And I've been out on it. I've seen 18.
Cool.
So that's cool. And I laugh every time we see it. I said, "Yeah, there's a place where I bought your sweater." And I bought my wife a sweater that she wears, and I said, "That's where I bought it, right there."
Any memorable events that, you know, I mean, obviously Cold War, there's a lot of things going on that you can talk about. I don't know. But is there anything that, you know, happened that, you know, is part of history now that you recall?
I think one of the most unique things was when Carver, George Washington Carver, we were on there. Part of the START treaty was to dismantle that particular weapons platform. These are strategic weapons. I mean, once they pull the trigger and they're gone, they're not coming back.
Yeah, either nuclear missiles or
Yeah.
Tomahawks. Or,
No, they're all nuclear
All nuclear,
ICBMs.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So the ship was in Charleston. They took all the weapons off and they put ballast cans for weight in the things. And we were transitioning over to Bremerton, Washington. We were going to be there for about 2 years before we decommissioned her. And so we were sitting in Roosevelt Roads, Puerto Rico, right? And that's when the Berlin Wall fell. So here is most of the submarine crew sitting here in the USO, which was closed, but we were able to buy refreshments and other things before they closed. And we were sitting here watching CNN. Not that's a shameless plug, but
Right.
watching CSN with all the events happening. And you're thinking, okay, this is pretty significant event because you know, the Berlin Wall, that was pretty significant event.
Yeah.
You realize that your job is now going to probably start changing. So that was interesting. I mean, we sat there literally all night and just glued to the tube watching all the events over there.
So there's a date, January 28th. And so I was stationed in Germany during the Cold War. We used to have alerts all the time. You know?
Right.
And most of them were all, you know, just practice alerts, never really nothing substantial. And I remember my dad passed away. I went back over to Europe on January 28th, and I got there. And the next day, there was an alert that was like a 5-day alert. We went out on maneuvers. It was full. I've been there 8 years. There was never anything that substantial. And I always wondered why. And it had to be 20 years later, I'm watching the History Channel, and on that day, there was an incident in the Mediterranean where I don't remember if it was a U.S. sub that hit a Russian destroyer or a Russian sub that hit a U.S. destroyer, but one of them surfaced and bumped the boat and then submerged right away, and they kind of separated. And that set that alert. That's the only reason I remember that is because I remember,
Yeah.
I'm watching this channel, I'm like, I know that date. And I remembered that alert. And I'm like, wow, it's crazy, you know, to think that actually something happened that put us on alert. But that was the Cold War.
That was Cold War.
Yeah.
That was the Cold War. You had ships that were operating in close proximity. Probably a lot of testosterone involved with, you know, I'll get closer, I'll go do
there,
that. Oops.
Yeah.
You know, and some poor 18-year-old kid turns a little bit right when he should have turned left.
Turn left,
and,
yeah.
You know, whack.
So you retired from the Navy?
I retired.
What year?
I retired January of 2000.
And what did you decide to do then?
I came here for a job.
Okay.
Came to Medina, Ohio for a job. And it was the right thing to do. My wife's family's from this area. I'm from Philadelphia. It's close enough. The job market in Seattle was really good if I was an IT guy.
Well, you're not a 76ers fan either, I hope.
Yeah, I am, but we don't talk about that. I'm a Cavaliers fan.
So tell me a little bit about, I know you're involved in the Disabled American Veterans.
Yes,
Tell me
I
a
am
little bit
the
about
commander.
what they do and what you do as part of them.
Well, what I do, I'm the commander of Chapter 72 in Medina. And really what we do is we are kind of like the local face for disabled American veterans. You know, it's I say it's like a 3-tiered company. You've got the national organization. We can all know what the national does. They're in D.C. They go in front and testify in front of Congress. They have the national service officers, and that's probably the biggest thing that Disabled American Veterans does is those people, and you're one of them, that helps with filing claims for disabilities for people that were injured or had problems when they were in the military. That's delineated down to a department level, which is quintessentially a state. They didn't want to call it state, so they don't get the governmental things.
Right.
And then they oversee the operations of the state thing. At the local level, what we do is we try to be out there and do whatever we can to help a veteran. I will get a phone call from someone who says, hey, I got this letter, it says my claim was denied. I'm not sure who to talk to or who to call.
Right.
I'm not trained to do those, I will never try to tell anybody. I will tell them up front, I'm not a service officer, and I always give them your number.
Yeah,
So
I know you send a
that.
claim stuff to us or downtown.
I send it to you. So what we try to do locally is foster knowledge of people, so they understand what the disabled American veterans do.
Right.
Some people think that you have to be disabled, you're missing a limb or you're blind or something. No, that's not what we do.
All you have to, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you just have to have a 0% service-connected disability with the Department of Veterans Affairs.
That's correct.
That's it.
That's correct. I mean, there are people, they might break a wrist, have some pins in a wrist or something like that. They get a 0.
Right.
Eventually, they're going to have to get, something's going to happen.
So what does Chapter 72 do here in the community? I mean, tell me some of the programs that you guys help with and stuff.
One of the biggest things that we try to do here, again, we work a lot with your office. I think you know that. We try to provide Christmas in June, so we have an avenue so that if a veteran, you can't help them right away because of, there's obviously you have some things that you have to do and some fact checking you have to do. We can help them.
I know we've reached out to you several times where I can't help legally.
You can't help legally, or you're waiting for the paperwork to help, and we'll help you out. I mean, it sounds, I'll give you 2 instances of something, letters that people gave us. One was a woman who got a text from her daughter and needed diapers for her granddaughter. She didn't have the money. She was, she was shopping. She didn't have that extra money, but she had gotten that gift card that we had sent her, or that she had gotten from us. She was able to get diapers. I mean, I don't think, and I think you were at the meeting when I read that letter. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. Like, oh my God, goodness, this helped out. Right down to, the individual that sent us the thing that said he had to buy toothbrush, toothpaste, shampoo because those are things that government assistance can't supply. So, and the other big thing we do is, and I thank you for your support over the years, is tank the truck. I know it's a lot of work on your end. We take our DAV truck. You've probably seen it in some parades. We've been Memorial Day parade, and we went down to Wadsworth this year with it for the blue tip. But we fill that with laundry soap, toothbrush, things that public assistance can't legally
and you guys
buy.
Give that out to the community. That doesn't just go to veterans.
That goes again, it's in conjunction with Feeding Medina County, and I think it's about 30% of the people that come through there are veterans. So we're trying to help the veterans as best we can. That's really what we're there for. We try to support the hospital, the VA hospital. There's people up there. I believe there's a hospice up there now at the VA hospital, or it's coming soon. I'm not too sure.
They do hospice care. Most of it's contracted out.
Most of it's but we try to support those people up there.
So if someone wants to be a member and they got that 0% disability, tell me, number one, how do they become a member? And then tell me why they should become a member.
Well, we meet the first Tuesday of every month at the Medina County Veterans Hall at 620 North Broadway in Medina. Just because we are in Medina does not mean that we are only for Medina, the city. We are we sponsor the whole county. So anybody can come in.
So you're the only chapter. You are the only chapter.
We are the only
chapter.
County, Cuyahoga County has 2, I believe. So they can come to the chapter meeting. It would help if they had any of their VA paperwork so we can verify. We'll fill out the forms for them to help them to get in, and we'll send them down to National. Then National will do the background and say, okay, this person does have a service-connected disability, and then we'll take them into the chapter. Why they need to be a member? One of the biggest things is they can get the information that they need for their claims. They can get the biggest thing for their benefits that they have. And you're also, I guess it's like giving back to the community, but also giving back to the community on a local, state, and even national level, because the more voices that and the more members that we have, when they go to the legislative branch goes to Congress and say, we have 1.3 million people.
Members,
okay.
Votes count.
Votes count.
Votes count in Washington.
You know, one of the things that National does is every year the Department of Ohio sends a number of people, probably a half a dozen people, that go down and they go call on Senators Brown and Portman, and they call on all the Ohio representatives and say, hey, this is what DAV thinks the most important things are for the next year or the next 2 years. And they go visit each one of those people and at least present them with the packet saying, this is what we think is important. Because, you know, let's face it, you know, one of the things we're sitting with right now is, you know, everyone's membership. There's a lot of people who were in Desert Storm, Desert Shield, Enduring Freedom. There's a multitude of them. We haven't seen the huge influx yet.
Yeah.
But what are their ages? Probably all under 40.
They're all married. Well, yeah, the younger guys married, got jobs.
Okay, they got jobs. They got this. They got this. They got that. So what we do, and what I feel is our biggest thing, is we maintain our chapter and we maintain the local presence, because somewhere down the line they're going to need some help.
Right.
And that's what we're just keepers of the fort.
So I know it's been, you know, it is a small chapter, but I know, and I've heard this from, you know, the state people, that it is one of the most active chapters in the state of Ohio. But aside from that, you know, I mean, it's not like you're building homes or anything like that, but sometimes, you know, it's almost easier to get a home built for a really disabled veteran than it is to get Christmas dinner for a veteran. It's the little things sometimes that are very difficult to fill, and I know you guys fill that void very well.
We really try to find that niche where we can help some 3 or 4 people out, so that the word does spread. I mean, we've been recognized by the Department of Ohio for outstanding service work. I mean, we funnel as much money as we can that we have available to us into what they call service work, direct supports for disabled veterans, or even veterans' causes or veterans themselves. I know and you know this as well as I do, we spend a lot of time trying to muster as much monetary support to help Fisher House up at the hospital, which, if anybody doesn't know what Fisher House is, that's Ronald McDonald House for the veterans, for the VA, which is its own separate organization. We try to support the transportation needs. The Department of Ohio bought a van for Fisher House, and we tried to fund that as best we can, because that's a direct support thing. And even if it comes down to the local thing, I mean, a couple of years ago we had some flooding, and I ran into somebody at Walmart because I needed some fans. And I think I texted you at like 2 o'clock in the morning and said, hey, they're coming to the office, they need some help, because they got completely flooded out. So,
well, yeah, it's good to create that network. So we only got a couple seconds left here. So I got to ask, because I ask everybody that comes on the show, you know, your military service, 20 years. If you had the chance to do it all over again, would you do it again?
Yes, in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
Kurt, thank you for coming on the show.
I appreciate it, and appreciate all you do for us.
We'll see you again next month on Salute to Service. Thank you.